You may think you are showing up as a strong leader, but what if the very things that make you dependable, collaborative, and well-liked are the same things making your senior leadership team question your readiness for the next level? I know this because I made these mistakes myself. I spent 8 years stuck at the global director level, not because I lack of result or skills or experience, but because I was unconsciously damaging my own executive presence with behaviors I thought were helping me. And here's the toughest part, you will rarely hear these real reasons. Now, behind closed doors, the decision-making process and the conversation looks like this. She's great, but I'm not sure she can hold her ground with the sales team and the regional president in North America. But in reality, what you actually will hear is something way softer, something you cannot even work on. For example, we went with another candidate because we prefer someone local. It feels like bad luck, bad timing, but the truth is, it's about how decision makers perceive your executive presence in those high-stake moments. If you're new here, hi, I'm Tiffany. In this channel, we talk about helping high-performing leaders break out of middle management and step into executive roles. I've lived this journey myself, from global director at the age of 28 to 8 years of plateau myself, and then finally break through to vice president at one of the largest Swedish company by market cap while raising young kids abroad. Now I share the lessons I've learned the hard way so you don't have to repeat them. Now in this video, I will walk you through the subtle ways leaders lose executive presence without realizing it, and more importantly, how to change those behaviors so you are seen as someone truly ready for vice president, senior vice president, country lead, or even C-suite roles. Let's start from the first behavior, people pleasing. You might not think of yourself as a people pleaser, but here's what it often looks like when you've been leading for 10, 15, or even 20 years. First, keeping a low performer in their role for months because you don't want to hurt them or deal with the conflict, even though it's hurting your team. Second, softening where you stand with your own manager when they push unrealistic deadlines. For example, you agree with them publicly, then you quietly tell your team to do your best instead of negotiating for resources, for time, or rewriting your direct reports' deliverables rather than sending them back for revision. Because it's faster and you avoid an awkward conversation about quality or performance. Another example, allowing a cross-functional peer to expand the scope of a joint project without even pushing back or negotiating, because you don't want to be seen as difficult to work with. If you are the leader everyone describes as nice, you are actually at risk. Those qualities are valued in middle to senior roles, but at vice president or above, overusing them can actually stall your career advancement. So why it doesn't serve you at the executive level then? When you are operating at the vice president, senior vice president, or country lead position, your role isn't just to deliver, it's to protect the company's strategic position, profitability, and stakeholder value as well. People-pleasing works against that responsibility in ways that are visible to every stakeholder. Now, let me share some examples here with you. To senior executives and the CEO or the business unit president, it suggests you might avoid conflict, sidestep uncomfortable truth, or bend under political pressure, which is dangerous when billions of dollars and market position are on the line. To the peers, your future management team, they may question whether you will hold the line when shareholder priorities conflict with short-term harmony. To your own team, the team you lead, avoiding tough calls with low performers sends the message that accountability is actually negotiable, which can drag down your best talent, right? Your best performers. To your external partners, for example, customers, suppliers, over-accommodating can be read as weakness. You are actually encouraging them to push for more concessions in the future. To the board and shareholders, your reluctance to confront performance or push back against unrealistic expectations can create doubt about your ability to defend shareholder value during a crisis. The danger isn't that people don't like you. In fact, most will say you are a pleasure to work with. The danger is what's being said about you when you are not in the room when decisions are made about your future, for example, promotion decisions. In talent reviews, behind closed doors when you are not present, the conversation might sound like this. She's great with people, but I'm not sure she will hold her ground with the chairman of the joint venture. Or he is dependable, but he avoids conflict. I don't see him pushing back if the headquarters decide to roll out a strategy that doesn't fit our market realities. In succession planning, your name may be on the list, but not next to the top jobs, because the comment could look like this. They'd be a safe choice, but in this role, we need someone who can make tough decisions and take heat from stakeholders. In promotion decisions, the hesitation could be subtle, but absolutely deadly. What your manager could say to the HR business partner is, he is fantastic at execution, but I'm not sure he is ready for the politics and pressure of the next level. And here's the part that really hurts. In most cases, you will never hear these exact words. Instead, you will just hear the decision and maybe a vague explanation, something like, we're looking for someone with more executive presence. By the time that feedback reaches you, the opportunity is already gone. The truth is, people-pleasing decreases the trust in your readiness for high-stake leadership, not because you lack of performance or experience, but because decision makers internally or even externally, they are not convinced you will make the hard calls when it matters the most. And at senior executive level, decisiveness and strategic courage are the currency of respect. Once you stop trying to please everyone, you quickly run into the next challenge, which is holding your ground when it matters, losing respect by avoiding assertiveness. Imagine this scenario. You are leading a workshop. This is your topic. You're very familiar with the data and the background story. This workshop is important, high visibility. The business unit president, together with his management team and a few heads from the region, will attend. You have prepared for weeks. Briefing materials, discussion prompts, timeline. You open the session, you lay out the objectives, and you hand the floor to the group. Now, within minutes, the conversation starts pulling in opposite directions. The vice president of sales argues for speed to market, even if it increases the cost, especially in Asia, where the competitors are launching faster. The CFO insists on strict budget discipline. They point out that margins are already thin in Europe. The vice president of operations warns about plant capacity and the risk of bottlenecks if production is ramped up too quickly. The head of procurement raises concerns about suppliers' reliability, especially after recent delays in critical components. And the president of the regions, they also voice conflicting priorities because North America wants to prioritize premium product lines while Asia demands volume to defend the market share. In the scenario, the debate heats up. Voices get sharper. Everyone starts defending their corner, making the case for their function or their own region. The objectives of the workshop you set are disappearing under a pile of competing agendas. And you look at the clock. 45 minutes are gone. Still no consensus. The purpose of the meeting are getting lost in the noise. You see it, but you don't step in. Inside, your mind is racing. I know this so well because this was my mind. What was going on in my mind at this particular moment was they're senior executives. Most of them outrank me. What if I come across as shutting them down? Maybe they just need more time to work it out themselves. If I step in now and someone takes it badly, I could lose political capital I have worked years to build. So what I did was I sat back. I listened, I took notes, and I told myself, you are giving the space for the dialogue. But deep down, I know what's really happening. The conversation is drifting further from the goal, and with every minute that passes, the chance of landing a clear decision is slipping away. The meeting ends without a clear decision. Everyone leaves thinking their point of view still stands. A week later, the business unit president asks, so what did we actually decide in that workshop? Have you ever had this experience too? In that moment, you weren't just being polite. You were giving away the control of the room. At this level, your role isn't just to facilitate the discussion, it's to guide the conversation to an actionable outcome, even if it means cutting in, summarizing sharply, or redirecting strong personalities. But here's the gap. What you think you are doing and what they see are two very different things. Let's go back to the scenario I was describing earlier in my own cases. So what does it actually look like? To the senior leaders in the room, it looks like I have lost the control of the discussion and I was letting stronger personalities set the direction. And to my cross-functional peers, here's the perception that I was unwilling or unable to challenge them when their priorities conflict with ours. And to my regional counterparts, it signals that my objectives are negotiable even when they directly affect my supply chain strategy. And to the headquarters, it also raised questions about whether I could manage a tense, politically charged conversation at the management level. Behind closed doors, when talent reviews and succession plans are discussed, no one will talk about how many hours I spent in preparing the agenda, how hard I worked. They will talk about the moment I had the opportunity to steer the conversation and I didn't. At this level, what they actually need is someone who can command the room and land the plane under pressure. Now, even if you start stepping up and holding your ground in the room, there's another trap, which leads me to my point number 3. Playing nice when leadership calls for more and blending in when you should stand out. Let me share with you this story. It happened a few years ago. I just returned from maternity leave. It was not even a month that I was back. Then we made this announcement. Our entire Belgian office will be relocating to Sweden. Every single person was impacted in this office because this was the global headquarters for us. Many of us had built our lives around that particular location. Some bought houses near that office. Some of us chose school and daycare close by or planned our commute and family routine around this place and this office. The news spread like wildfire. Negativity was everywhere. In the hallways, in the meeting rooms, around the coffee machines, the atmosphere was just heavy. People were scared, frustrated, exhausted. And here's the thing, this wasn't an environment you could simply walk away from. I had to be there every day. I had to work side by side with these colleagues, attending the same meetings, collaborate on the same projects. It wasn't like I could just put up a wall, shut down the noise, and just keep my mind clean. Everywhere I went, the conversations found me, in the lift, during lunch, around the coffee machine, and during the travels together with colleagues. Of course, I felt negative myself as well about the situation because I don't want to move to Sweden. I built my life in Belgium. So here's what I did. I joined in because I wanted to show I understood. I wanted to fit in. So I agreed, I sympathized, and I thought I was being empathetic to my colleagues, also to myself to release my own frustrations. But every time I joined these conversations, I was reinforcing the negativity. I was soaking it up, carrying it with me, and bringing nothing positive back into the room and to my colleagues. I thought I was just building connection, but what I actually did was just blending in. In my head, this is what I told myself. This is how you show you care. This is how you stay connected to people during a hard time. But what was really happening? I was choosing comfort over courage. I was avoiding the hard path, which is stepping forward and say, I know this is hard, but here's how we could move forward. The longer I stayed in that negativity mode, the heavier I felt. It even impacted my own mental health because I carried other people's frustrations home with me together with mine, and I replaying them and even repeat them in the evening during dinner with my husband. And the next morning I was showing up to work completely drained. Looking back, I can see the impact clearly, and I didn't get the promotion during that restructuring period as well because I wasn't demonstrating that I could lead through the change. To senior executives, I wasn't steering the mood. I was part of it. To my peers, I wasn't offering any solution or any positivity to improve their day. To my teams, I wasn't easing their fears as well. I was just confirming them, and all of us just falling this big negative circle. You might be going through something like this yourself. Perhaps your company is restructuring and your organization's performance is down and there's a hiring freeze. Maybe people around you are being laid off, downgraded, or senior leaders are quietly pushed out. These are hard moments, and it's completely natural to want to connect with your colleagues, show you understand them, show your empathy by sharing the frustration. But here's the truth. The more you join those negative conversations, the more you are reinforcing the very atmosphere that is draining yourself. And the less you are seen as someone who could lead through turbulence. Well, true empathy isn't about agreeing with the mood in the room. It's about acknowledging the difficulty while showing a path forward. It's about giving people something solid to hold on to when everything feels uncertain and everything feels frustrating. When the company's or your team's atmosphere turns heavy and negative, you want to ask yourself, what I'm doing here, what I'm saying here, am I reinforcing the problem or am I leading people toward a better solution? Because at the senior executive level, the leaders who rise, they are not the ones who just blend into the negative mood. They are the ones who shape it. They are the ones who change it. They are the ones who turn this negativity into hope and solutions for people. So if you've been listening to this and seeing yourself in these situations, you can change that. My team and I are offering free strategy calls to a limited number of leaders who are ready to break through from middle management to senior executive roles. To qualify for the call, you need to be currently employed in a middle management position, have an international career background, and you are a consistent high performer with a track record of results. And you have experienced steady career growth until now, but you are no longer seeing the upward mobility or movement. And you are not exactly sure what's missing to get to the next level. If that's you and you are serious about making the leap, you can book a free strategy call. The link is in the description below. And we will diagnose the gaps holding you back and map out the specific steps you need to make to position yourself for the senior leadership roles you deserve. Let me leave you with this video and learn the 3 ways you are talking yourself out of a promotion. I'll see you there.